Well, we had, for the first time in our hands, a long-range interceptor. It was clear that the F-4 was designed to fill a very deficient gap. We had entered a period when attack was high speed. We needed standoff. We needed quick responsiveness. We needed a all-weather capability, and that's what we achieved in the F-4.
If you had it to do all over again, is there anything you would do to change the design of the F-4 or the test program?
No, I wouldn't change a thing.
Hey guys, Spud here, and today I wanted to hop back in the cockpit of the F-4E on release day to give you guys my #1 tip for air-to-air success in your new Phantom. A lot of you guys out there are probably pretty used to flying the modern jets in DCS, and the radar in the F-4 makes your approach to air-to-air engagements, specifically in BVR before getting to the merge, very, very different. I'm sure you guys are very used to trying to get as high as possible, to get your missiles to go as far as possible, to shoot down the bad guy as far away from you as possible, and prevent the merge entirely. The approach in the F-4, which lacks a look-down, shoot-down radar, is going to be very different, and I think this demonstration today will illustrate that for you guys perfectly. So let's hop in the cockpit of our Phantom and get started. Alright guys, now that we're in the cockpit of our F-4, we can get started with our demonstration of the new approach and tactics that you should use when engaging in a BVR fight in your new Phantom. So let's pause the simulation here and take a look at the F-10 map and look at the situation we have out in front of us here. We've got our flight of 4 Iranian F-4s here up at 12,000 feet, and then we've got a flight of 4 MiG-21s that are scattered around and starting to set up a chandelier at roughly between about 3,000 and 4,000 feet. Now, this is important because in this kind of situation, for this demonstration, the MiG-21s are going to stay at that very low level all the way until the merge, and that's the way they're set up via the AI in DCS. As a result of that, we're probably not even going to get them onto our radar until they get to the merge, because they're going to be below us. And of course, in the F-4, we lack that look-down, shoot-down capability. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll unpause the simulation, and we'll kind of just let Jester do his thing as he scans the airspace around us. Like I said earlier, most likely we are not going to see these guys. We are not going to see these guys until they get within visual range. As we look at the radar scope, we may start to pick out, like potentially maybe that's them out there. However, our radar range is out to 50 nautical miles, and with a MiG-21 with a very small radar cross-section, we probably can't even pick them up with an APQ-120 until they're within about 20 nautical miles or so. And even that is kind of pushing it. So it looks like our raw equipment has them off to our left-hand side a little bit. Now, if these were really good and really competent MiG pilots working with a really good GCI, they would most likely have their radars off as to not give away their position to the RWRs of the attacking Phantoms. This is how Iraqi GCI controllers, as well as North Vietnamese GCI controllers, positioned MiGs over North Vietnam or the battlefield over Iraq and Iran, but behind big interceptors like the F-4 and F-14, and brought them into various ambushes. So let's see what's happening here. Still not getting anything on radar. Jester is still not picking them up. Maybe we'll help things out a little bit here because they're getting closer, so we'll go radar, scan elevation, scan, let's go for, come down a little bit, let's go down about 3,500 feet. Let's see what that gives us. Looking at the smudges on our radar scope, we can start to see maybe something, but it's really difficult to see if we can pick anything out in the ground return. Now we're starting to see them visually. Whoa, and there's the merge right there. So we can see that the leading element of that chandelier of MiG-21s just merged with us, and there is the second element starting to merge with us. And that's why another big element of flying the F-4 in air-to-air combat here is you never ever want to get stuck looking at the radar and working with Jester too long. Because we lack that look-down, shoot-down capability, you need to have your eyes outside of the cockpit as much as possible, scanning visually in case those MiGs pop up on you, just like that. Alrighty guys, now that we've already eaten one ATOL, let's see if we can do a little bit better this time. Taking a look at the F-10 map, we can see that our flight of 4 Phantoms is down on the deck this time, and out in front of us we've got our flight of 4 MiG-21s, and they are now the guys who are up high and about to be ambushed. So I know this all sounds probably pretty obvious to those of you guys who are DCS World veterans. For those of you guys who are new to DCS, it may not be so obvious. And it's a great demonstration of the capabilities of the APQ-120 radar. So here we go, we've got our radar pushed out to about 50 nautical miles, and it looks like we're already starting to see some strobes potentially from those MiG-21s out in front of us. That's probably ground clutter, but it sure looked like a aircraft strobe for a second there. So we'll get on closer and closer here. Probably help things out by telling Jester to change our scan elevation slightly. Go to 10 to 20,000 feet at 30 nautical miles. We're still going to stay a little bit on the lower side. We're going to be working ourselves to stay as low as possible. Maybe starting to see something pop up. Not quite sure yet. Can just barely start to see those MiGs visually at this point. Alright, we've definitely got a MiG on the radar there.
5 degrees, 12 miles, 9,000.
Alright, so we'll lock him up. Lock target.
Lock Bandit now.
Alright, we'll get gun armed, master arm on. We are in range. There's the shoot cue, and Fox 1. Now that's a dogfight E2 Sparrow on a forward quarter launch against a MiG-21. He's defensive. And splash. Splash 1 MiG. Alright guys, we're back for our third and final demonstration. This time our MiG-21 adversaries are at co-altitude with us at 14,000 feet. Looking at the F-10 map, we can once again see our flight of MiGs out there at 14,000, and our F-4s down here at 14,000 as well. Looks like those MiG-21s are maneuvering once again to get into a bit of a chandelier-like formation, and we'll start to get going with our interception. So when it comes to a co-altitude type of BVR situation in the F-4E, you're going to want to start to try and work to get your aircraft lower than your adversary. Now, you don't want to give up all of your potential energy if you were to get into a merge, but we do want to negate the ground clutter effect in our APQ-120. So what we're going to do is we know from our AWACS or a GCI, or in this case the F-10 map, that they're working right at about 14,000, so we're just going to start dipping below 14,000. We're going to probably want to go for about 12,000 or so. Not too low, not to a point where we're going to be giving up the energy advantage to those MiG-21s, but to a point where we'll be able to identify and get them onto our radar as quickly as possible. And I believe we just saw them on our radar right about here. So we should be able to get them pretty quick. There they are. And there's 3 of them in that chandelier-like formation, or maybe even 4 of them. Almost looks like 2 strobes here, or maybe 2 strobes here. And of course, we've got a very obvious third. And looks like it's 1, 2, 3, and a very faint 4th out here trailing behind. So you guys can see that once you kind of get to a position where you're just slightly lower than the bandits, you are going to get them onto your radar as quickly and efficiently as possible. So let's lock this guy up. Radar, lock target.
Left 5, 10 miles, 14,000. Roger. Yep.
Alright,
Locked bandit.
make sure we're good to go here. And at this point, this is where you want to get fast to get as much kinetic energy as possible onto your Sparrow. Fox 1. And it's a dogfight Sparrow again, so it's probably going to do a pretty good job against our MiG. There's a splash. We'll go ahead and go to Bore, CAA, and we'll lock up the trailer. And we'll go ahead and end it here. Anyway, I'm not doing too well past the merge there, but I hope that this was a really good demonstration for you guys, showing you what you should kind of do when it comes to a BVR engagement in the F4, as well as show you guys the strengths and weaknesses of the APQ-120. I think you'll find that the APQ-120 radar is a lot more powerful and flexible than you probably think it is, but you need to maneuver your aircraft in such a way in that BVR situation to get the most possible out of your radar. So I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope it helps you out, so please leave a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.